Hi, welcome to the 2025-2026 UTA Financial Aid Overview video. My name is Jon Rodriguez. I'm an Associate Director in the UTA Office of Financial Aid and Scholarships. In this video today, I'll be going over how to apply for financial aid here at UTA, what the process is like, what financial aid programs we offer here at UTA for our incoming students, like yourself who's watching this video right now. So we have a lot of great information to go over in this video, so I'll go ahead and get started. So each year, UTA offers a lot of financial aid to our students. So every school year, we offer about $40 million in just scholarship funds alone, as well as a total of $500 million, so $500 million in financial aid funds to our students each school year. So that would include scholarship funds, federal grant money, state and institutional grant money, federal work study, and federal loans. So there's a lot of financial aid out there. I know you may be worried about how you're going to pay for your education here at UTA, but hopefully this financial aid overview video will tell you how to apply for those financial aid programs. So first, I just want to say, don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. So the UTA Financial Aid Office is here to help you. So we know the process can be complicated. You may be worried about certain things about the application process, what is out there to help pay for those expenses, but that's why we're here. We're here to answer those complicated questions that you may have. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Reach out to us either via email, calling us, coming in person. I'll talk about how to contact us at the end of this video, but just know we are here to help you, so don't hesitate to reach out and contact us if you have any questions at all. So first, before we talk about what financial aid programs are out there to help you pay for those expenses, we kind of want to go over what it's going to cost you to attend UTA. So as you are aware, college is an investment. So college isn't cheap. There is a price tag that comes with a college education, but you are investing in your future. You are investing in a college education. Hopefully that will lead to the job opportunities you're looking for after college, those higher paying jobs after you graduate. So college is an investment. So UTA's estimated cost of attendance, the key word there is estimate. This isn't an exact bill on what exactly you're going to owe UTA. You're not going to have to write a check for this exact dollar amount to attend UTA. This is a tool to let you know what those estimated costs associated with attending UTA may be when you attend UTA. So first is tuition and fees. So our average tuition and fees, if you're a Texas resident, undergraduate student going full-time, is about $12,208. So that's just an average. It may change a little bit depending on the exact courses you take, but that's just going to give you an average for the year, which is for the fall and spring semester combined. Books and supplies, we've averaged about $500 a semester if you're a full-time student. But again, this is based on it's going to be actually based on your individual circumstances. So you might buy your you might buy your books cheaper. You might find them at a used bookstore. You might find them online. Some courses you take may not require a book. So again, just remember this is just an estimate. Housing and meals. So this is going to be an average of what it might cost you if you lived on campus at UTA. So if you were to live on campus in one of our various resident halls on campus, apartment on campus, this is going to be an average of what it might cost you for your on-campus or housing charges and a meal plan. So if you sign up for one of our various UTA meal plans where you can dine on campus, they give you a certain amount of credits every day to eat in the cafeteria every day. The various eateries are on campus. It's going to cost you roughly $11,228 for the year for the fall and spring semester combined. And then transportation costs, UTA is not really going to charge you transportation costs except for like the shuttle bus fees every semester. That's included in your tuition and fees. But we know you may own a car, you may have gas, throughout the gas charges throughout the semester cost to and from campus. You may have routine maintenance on your car, oil changes, tires, those various items that come along with transportation. So again, this is just an estimate to tell you what those costs might be. And then lastly, personal miscellaneous costs. So, things like toiletries, bedding, the miscellaneous things that come along with staying on campus, going out on the weekends, etc., being a college student. So again, if you were to total all of this as an estimate, again, keyword here is estimate, you may be paying $29,820 to attend UTA for the fall and spring semesters. Kind of want to go back and highlight housing and meals. Let's say you're going to live at home. Let's say you're going to live at home with your parent or a family member, let's say, when you're going to be attending UTA, and they're going to be very nice. They're not going to charge you rent. They're going to cook you 3 meals a day. The student's housing and meal costs might be zero. So kind of, again, just take this as a guideline. It's all going to depend on your individual circumstances. So the first step to apply for financial aid is to complete the FAFSA application. So that's going to be your free application for federal student aid. If you're going to be attending UTA during the summer 2025, fall 2025, or spring 2026 semesters, you're going to complete the 25-26 FAFSA form, which is going to be available starting December 1st. Now, typically, the FAFSA is available every October. So every October, starting your senior year in high school, and then every year you're in college, you need to renew your FAFSA application. And typically, that's available every October 1st. But the Federal Department of Education postponed the release of the FAFSA for the 25-26 FAFSA year to December 1st. So hopefully, starting December 1st, you can log in and complete your FAFSA for the 25-26 school year. So like I said, the FAFSA stands for the free application for federal student aid. The first F in FAFSA stands for free, so don't ever pay anyone to complete the FAFSA for you. There's plenty of free resources out there that will help you fill out the FAFSA if you need help. For example, our office, you can come into our office Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, all year long, and we can help you fill it out. You can reach out to your high school counselor if you're in high school. They usually have FAFSA nights that we attend here in the DFW area to help students fill out the FAFSA. So again, don't ever pay anyone to fill it out with you or for you. So the first step, like I said, is to complete the 25-26 FAFSA, and you can go online to studentaid.gov to complete your FAFSA starting December 1st, 2024. You can also go to FAFSA.gov. That's the exact same website, but the actual website is studentaid.gov. When you fill it out, you're going to list all the schools that you're interested in attending. So if you're interested in attending, let's say 10 different schools, that's great. So you're going to list all the schools that you are interested in. And when you complete the FAFSA, the Department of Education is going to send your completed FAFSA form to all the schools that you list when you completed your FAFSA. If there's a school, let's say you complete the FAFSA December 1st, and then let's say come January, you go to a different campus, visit their school, and you're like, oh, I'm actually interested in that school. You can always log back in and add different school codes on the FAFSA throughout the year. But you definitely want to list UTA if you're interested in attending UTA. And our school code is 003656. You don't need to memorize that. You can always search for it by keyword by putting the name of the school when you get to that section of the FAFSA. The applicant or the student to be eligible to complete the FAFSA must be a U.S. citizen, a U.S. permanent resident, or an eligible non-citizen. So there's certain eligible non-citizen categories, like if you were granted an asylum or refugee status here in the U.S. Via the U.S. government, you'd be eligible to complete the FAFSA as well. Now, if you're dependent and your parent is not a U.S. citizen, you could still complete the FAFSA, but the student must be a U.S. citizen, a permanent resident, or an eligible non-citizen. So what will you need to complete the FAFSA or to apply? So you as a student will need an FSA ID or your Federal Student Aid ID, which is going to be an email address and a password. That's what you're going to log in every school year to complete your FAFSA every year. We also recommend you have your 2023 income taxes and 2023 W-2s if you worked in 2023. And then if you are a dependent student, you want to have, they're going to have a separate FSA ID or Federal Student Aid ID, again, with their email, a password that they create on the FAFSA website. And we recommend they have their 2023 income taxes and 2023 W-2s. Again, if you're a dependent student, you'd list your parent or parents' information on the FAFSA application. When you get to the income section of the FAFSA application, you and your parent, if you're dependent, are going to give approval and consent from all your contributors. Again, a parent would be an example of a contributor, or spouse if the student is married. You're going to give approval and consent for the Federal Department of Education to download and access your federal tax information, your federal tax records, to autofill a lot of those questions. It makes it much simpler for you. It's going to pull in like your adjusted gross income, your income taxes, your taxes paid, exemptions, etc. But you will be required to give that approval and consent. So the student will, when you get to the parent section, let's say that you are a dependent student or you're a student who's married and has a spouse, when you get to their section of the FAFSA, you're going to enter their information, their name, an email address, and then you're going to invite them to log in separately with their FSA ID to complete their section of your FAFSA when you get to that section of the FAFSA application. So if you're watching this video before December 1st, the FAFSA, the 25-26 FAFSA is not available for next school year. However, there is something you could do right now. So if you don't already have an FSA ID, let's say you're a high school senior, or you're just applying for FAFSA for the first time, you can already go out to studentaid.gov, click on the Create Account section, the tab on there, and you can already create your FSA ID. So if you want to go ahead and get that out of the way, create your FSA ID account, or have your parent, if you're a dependent student or spouse, create theirs. You can already do that, get that all settled out of the way. That way on December 1st, you can log right in and you can start completing your FAFSA application. Just as a note, if you're a dependent student, if your parents, whether or not if your parents are married, whether or not each of them need their separate FSA IDs or just one parent needs an FSA ID is all going to be depending on how they file their taxes in 2023. So again, if both parents are married and they filed as separately in 2023, for example, married filing separately on their taxes or head of household, then each of your parents are going to need their separate FSA ID because they each need to give approval and consent on the FAFSA for the Department of Ed to access their tax records. And then your spouse, of course, is going to need a separate one if in 2023 you didn't file as married filing jointly on your taxes. If let's say if your parents are not married, then if you're confused at which parent to list on the FAFSA, again, if your parents are not married and you're a dependent student at the time of you filling out the FAFSA, you only need to list one of your parents. So if you're not sure which one, you can also go online to studentaid.gov, access this parent wizard tool, and that will answer a couple questions, and that will help you determine which of your parents to list on the FAFSA. Again, if your parents are not married. If they're married, you're going to list both information on the FAFSA. Something else that you could do right now if you're needing to complete the FAFSA for 25-26, it's before December 1st, you can complete what's called the Federal Student Aid Estimator. So if you want to kind of get an idea based on a limited amount of questions, income, household size, etc. Right now, if you want to get an estimate of what federal funds you may qualify for, you can go onto the studentaid.gov website and complete the Federal Student Aid Estimator. This is just a tool. Again, this is just an estimate. This is not your application. This is just going to tell you what federal aid you may qualify for, not state and institutional. So the FAFSA is also going to apply you for state and institutional grant funding. This estimator won't let you know what funds are going to be available for that, but it would tell you maybe if you qualify for a federal Pell Grant, federal loans, what those amounts might be. Again, this is just an estimate based on limited questions. So when you go out and complete your actual FAFSA on December 1st or after, that eligibility may change because that's a more robust application with more questions. But you can go on to studentaid.gov/aid-estimator and you can complete that estimator if you like to. But again, don't remember to go back and actually complete your FAFSA after December 1st if you choose to do this estimator. So one of the first section of the FAFSA application is to determine if the student, if you are dependent or independent. I've kind of talked about dependency a little bit already, but the FAFSA is gonna ask you about 10 questions to determine if the student, the applicant, the FAFSA applicant is a dependent or independent student. If the student answers no to all 10 questions, they are deemed a dependent student and they would list the parent information on the FAFSA application. If the student answers yes to one of those questions, then they'd be deemed a independent student and their eligibility would only be based on their income, their household, and then a spouse if the student is married. But just keep in mind, if you answer yes to one of those questions, if it applies to you, you want to answer yes, but the school, UTA Financial Aid Office might request some supporting documentation depending on which of those questions you answer yes to. Now, we do know that there are some unusual circumstances. So if you completed the dependency section of the FAFSA, like I just went over, and you answered no to those questions and it says, hey, you're a dependent student, but you have an unusual circumstance where, let's say, you don't have contact with your parents. On the right, so the next question is going to be, tell us about the student has an unusual circumstance. So as you can see, some scenarios might be, let's say you left home due to an abusive or threatening environment. You've been abandoned or estranged by your parents. You haven't seen them in years and you haven't been adopted, by another family. Or if you've been granted refugee or an asylum status and your parents live in another country, you haven't talked to them in a couple of years, you're a victim of human trafficking, etc. There, you can read some of the other examples there. So what you could do is if you are not dependent based on those 10 questions, but you have an unusual circumstance, you could answer yes to this question. The FAFSA will deem you a provisionally independent student, and then you can continue with the FAFSA process as a provisionally independent student. And then when the UTA Financial Aid Office receives your FAFSA, again, we're going to ask for some supporting documentation, usually some reference letters to verify what your circumstances are. But if you have an unusual circumstance, you're not sure if it applies, again, like I said at the beginning, reach out to our office. We can sit down with you. You can speak with a counselor, speak with myself. We can kind of go over that and discuss that with you. So we have some other helpful videos on our website. So you may have accessed this video right now on our videos page, but there's some other videos on there. For example, this exact video you're watching, we're going to have there should be a separate scholarship overview video that goes over our merit-based scholarships for incoming freshmen, incoming transfer students. We have short videos from the Federal Department of Education to go over like what a student aid index is, who's a contributor on your FAFSA, some other videos. So, I encourage you to explore our videos page if you haven't already. So I want to highlight priority deadlines. So deadlines are very important in life, especially in college, especially when you're applying for financial aid funding. So you want to be aware of what those priority deadlines are. So we have priority deadlines because some of our grant resources, our scholarship resources, that'll go over in our scholarship video if you watch that one, those are limited funds. So we run out of those. So we have to prioritize early applicants. So you want to make sure that this year and every year you're in college, you are applying prior to our deadline. So that way, if you're eligible for some of that limited grant money, like our institutional grant money, our state grant money, grant funding like federal grant money, like federal Pell Grant, that doesn't run out. We have a unlimited amount of that. So if you apply late, if you're eligible for federal funding, we can offer it to you. But if you miss our deadline, then we may not be able to offer you state grant money and institutional grant money like the MAV grant we offer because you would have missed our deadline. So our deadline for the fall 2025, spring 2026 semesters is going to be March 1st, 2025. So what that means is that if you want to meet our deadline and be considered for some of that limited grant money, then the UTA Financial Aid Office must receive your FAFSA or TASFA application. I'll go over our TASFA application later on in the presentation. We must receive any requested verification documents we might request from you. I kind of go over what those are later in the presentation. And then in our admissions office, the admissions office must receive all required admissions documents, your high school transcript, any transcripts from a different college you may have attended, your application fee, your application, etc. They must receive all that by March 1st as well. So if we receive your FAFSA, we receive your verification documents, we receive all your admissions documents prior to March 1st, then if you're eligible, we will offer you those limited grant funding. Just as a tip, if you do have a Social Security number, then when you apply for admissions purposes on Apply Texas, the Common App, make sure you list that Social Security number. It's optional on the admissions application, but if you have a social, we recommend, because the reason is because we link your FAFSA application with your profile here, your admissions information essentially, via your Social Security number. So if you don't list your social on your admissions application and you complete a FAFSA with your social, it'll never link here. So that might postpone and delay us processing your FAFSA, and you may miss a deadline, and miss out on some of those limited grant funds. So I highly recommend you list a social if you have one when you apply for admissions. So as I mentioned on the previous slide, we might request some verification documents from you. So when we download your FAFSA application after you complete it online, the Department of Education is going to let us know if we need to verify certain data points on your FAFSA. Examples might be we might ask for your tax return to verify your income. We might ask for a verification of family member form to verify who else in your household. We might ask for your proof of U.S. citizenship, various other verification items. So not everybody is selected for this, but if you are, it doesn't necessarily mean you did anything wrong. A lot of times it's just random. We just need to verify certain data points because the Department of Education tells us we need to. So we're going to reach out to you. So once we download your completed FAFSA after December, when you complete it, we're going to email you. We're going to send you a letter in the mail. If you log into your MyMath portal, it'll be in your to-do list if we request any of those items. Just make sure you turn those in before March 1st if you can. That way, again, you meet our priority deadline. If you miss the deadline, go ahead and turn it in anyways, because like I said, there's federal funding that you might be eligible for. But if you can, make sure you turn that in as soon as possible, but definitely before March 1st. So when you fill out the FAFSA application, the Department of Education is going to put all that data in a very complicated formula. Then they're going to come up with a number called a Student Aid Index or an SAI number. So that's the number that we in the Financial Aid Office use to determine what you're eligible for. So that's going to stay the same no matter what college you go to, because again, like I said, it's determined by the federal government. But that's what we're going to use to calculate your grant eligibility, your loan eligibility, your eligibility for other programs like work study. So the lower the number, the more needy of a student you are. So if you are a very needy student, depending on your parents' income, the household size, all that data you put in the FAFSA. If let's say you have an SAI of 0 or even a negative number, that means you are the neediest student and you would be eligible for the maximum grants that we offer if you met our priority deadline. But as that student aid index gets, higher, 1,000, 1,500, 10,000, 20,000, then the resources available to you may be more limited. You may only qualify for loans. The amount of grants you may qualify for may decrease. But again, that SCI number just determines how needy of a student you are. We use that to offer you financial aid. So you may see that number once you complete the FAFSA. That's generally what it means. So when you fill out the 2025-2026 FAFSA application, you're going to report income data from 2023. So we know that when you start college in August of 2025 or May of 2025 for the summer, if you attend summer, that income data may be 2 years old. So we know a lot can change in 2 years. Some examples might be loss or change of employment, a death of a parent or spouse, divorce or separation of a parent or spouse, extenuating medical expenses, and then other circumstances. So let's say you complete the 25-26 FAFSA application in December. You list your, let's say both of your parents are working in 2023. We download that information, and let's say you only qualify for loans based on that 2023 income data. But let's say next February, before you attend school, or maybe during the summer before you come to school, one of your parents unfortunately loses their job. So now there's half as much income coming into your household. You can reach out to the UTA Financial Aid Office. You can fill out what's called a special circumstance form with some supporting documentation, and we can update your FAFSA for you to reflect that current income data, and that might make you eligible for grant money that you may not have been eligible for based on that 2023 income. Another common example would be, let's say your parents get divorced. So let's say you fill out the FAFSA in December, you're a dependent student, both of your parents are married. But let's say come March the next year, your parents separate and they get divorced. You can, again, report that change via a special circumstance form to the Financial Aid Office here at UTA. We can update your FAFSA to just list one of your parents' income information. And again, that might change your eligibility. So the same thing as an unusual circumstance. If something may apply to you and you may have a special circumstance, reach out to the UTA Financial Aid Office and we can discuss that with you. So the FAFSA application is going to be your one application that applies you for a lot of financial aid programs. So like I said at the beginning of the presentation, we offer about $500 million every school year in financial aid to our students. And a lot of those programs we offer, a lot of those funds, we determine by the FAFSA application. And that's the only application you need to complete to apply for these fundings here on this slide here. So the FAFSA is going to automatically apply you for federal Pell Grant. So if you're an undergraduate student, you may qualify for a federal Pell Grant. That's just grant money from the federal government. Again, that your eligibility will be determined by that student aid index via the FAFSA results. It's also going to automatically apply you for state and institutional grant money. So we get state money every year, state grant money like the Texas Grant Program from the state of Texas. So if you're an in-state student, if you complete the FAFSA undergraduate, we're going to see if you're eligible for that funding. We're also going to check your eligibility via the FAFSA results for institutional grant money. So like I said earlier, we here at UTA, we're the UTA Mavericks, so we have a MAV grant that we offer, and we use the FAFSA to determine if you're eligible for that. There's not separate applications for these. It's all determined by the FAFSA. We also have our very generous Blaze Forward program. So you may have heard about that. I'll go into that here in a couple slides. But that's going to be another grant program that we will determine your eligibility and offer to if you're eligible. And all you need to do is to complete the FAFSA to be eligible for that. So again, that state and institutional grant funding, that Blaze Forward funding, you want to meet our March 1st priority date to apply for that. The FAFSA is also going to automatically apply for federal work study funding. So if you're interested in working part-time on campus here at UTA when you're going to college, attending classes here, Work study is a great opportunity that will allow you to find a part-time job on campus. As an example, I'm a UTA alumni. I graduated from UTA. I attended here from 2001 to 2005. And all 4 years, I worked part-time as a work study student in the financial aid office. I worked up to 19 hours a week. I got paid every 2 weeks for the hours I worked. It was a great chance for me to get a little extra money in my pocket, some job experience. My work study job led to a career here at UTA, but even if it doesn't for you, it's a good opportunity, to find a job and work part-time on campus if you're interested. And then lastly, federal direct loans. So the FAFSA will automatically apply for federal direct loans, like subsidized and unsubsidized loans. We will offer those to you if you're eligible, and then you could choose if you need those loan funds to pay for some of your expenses here at UTA. So we do get this question sometimes, which, it's a valid question. Do I need to repay my financial aid? So if we offer you financial aid, we send you an email in the spring saying, hey, this is what you're eligible for. If we offer you a grant or a scholarship, those funds do not need to be repaid. So that's free money that will help you pay for your expenses here at UTA. You are not required to repay those, for example, after you graduate. But if we offer you a federal direct loan, like I said earlier, maybe a subsidized loan or a federal direct unsubsidized loan, that is loan funds and you are required to pay loan funds. But the benefit is for federal loans, you're not required to make any payments until after you graduate. So all 4 years, if you stay enrolled at least half time, all 4 years you're in college, if you borrow federal direct loans, you are not required to make payments while you're in school at least half time on federal loans. You would begin the repayment process 6 months after you graduate or 6 months after you're no longer enrolled half-time in college. We always recommend, we want you to be responsible loan borrowers, so only borrow what you need. So we may offer you the max that you may qualify to borrow in federal direct loans when we offer you financial aid each school year. But if you don't need all that money, don't accept it. Only borrow what you need. So, kind of do a budget. You can meet with our student money management office and our student accounts office if you want to kind of create a budget, a personal budget of yours to see what loan funds, if any, you need to borrow. You can always reduce loan money when you accept it in your MyMav account. You could decline it. You can always request it later. So let's say you accept your grant and scholarships and you're like, well, I think that's going to be enough. I only need to pay for tuition and some books. But let's say mid-semester you get an apartment, you move into an apartment or something, and you need some extra funds. You can always request that loan money back later by sending an email, coming into the financial aid office here, and we can always reoffer that to you. So I did mention earlier when I was talking about the FAFSA that there's something called the TASFA application. So that's going to be the Texas application for state financial aid. So this is going to be for students who are not eligible to complete the FAFSA. So if you are eligible to complete the FAFSA, you're a U.S. citizen, you're a U.S. permanent resident, you meet one of those eligible non-citizen categories, you don't need to complete a TASFA. So if you can complete a FAFSA, do not complete a TASFA. But let's say you're a DACA student, you're an undocumented student, you don't qualify to complete the FAFSA, but you're a Texas resident for tuition purposes here in the state of Texas. You can complete a TASFA application, which will apply you for state financial aid. It's not going to apply you for federal aid because, again, you're ineligible because you can't complete the FAFSA. But it would apply you for, here at UTA, would apply you for the Texas grant program. So that's a grant, like I said earlier, from the state of Texas. So it's going to be available just like the FAFSA starting December 1st. You can get the application on our website, or you can go to collegeforalltexans.com. You could find it there as well. There should be an online and a paper application, just like the FAFSA application. But again, just like the FAFSA application, you want to make sure that you are aware of those priority deadlines. So again, March 1st is going to be our priority deadline. So you want to make sure you turn in your TASFA if you need to prior to March 1st, just like the FAFSA application. Again, because this only applies you for the Texas grant program, if you are, again, in that category of student, funding's limited because we run out of that. So it's very important that you turn it in before March 1st. But you can find more information on our website or go to collegeforalltexans.com for more information. So I did mention earlier when I talked about the financial aid programs we offer here via the FAFSA, the Blaze Forward program. So the Blaze Forward program is a very exciting program we've had here for a few years, and we're going to be having it for the foreseeable future. But again, what this means is that if you meet certain deadlines, requirements, UTA will promise to cover 100% of your tuition and tuition-related course fees. Again, that's that $12,200 I talked about when I talked about that estimated cost of attendance. with free money, with gift aid. What that means is grants and scholarships. So if you meet our Blaze Forward program requirements and deadlines, we would offer you a financial aid package that would include grants and scholarships or a combination of both. And that would equal to at least your tuition and fees and pay for your tuition here. So you can find more information about this program on our website here, but I'm going to go over briefly what the requirements are on the next slide. So again, if you're going to be attending UTA as either an incoming freshman or an incoming transfer student, an incoming freshman from a Texas high school, if you're going to transfer to UTA in the fall and you're going to have earned your associate's degree at a Texas college, you could be considered for this very generous Blaze Forward program. So again, March 1st is going to be the deadline. So you want to have your FAFSA or TASFA application received by UTA by March 1st. Any admissions documents or verification documents, like I went over earlier, you want to make sure the UTA Financial Aid Office receives those documents before March 1st, or the admissions office receives those by March 1st. I kind of want to highlight the word received and not submitted. So when we're talking about deadlines, you could go out to the FAFSA website on February 28th and you can submit your FAFSA. And you can think, oh, great, I met the deadline because I submitted it before March 1st. There is processing time. So we might actually not receive your FAFSA application until March 4th, let's say, for example, because it could take a couple days. Then in that scenario, you would not have met our deadline because again, we need to receive it. So make sure you're doing everything well in advance of a deadline so you don't run up against those processing times and may miss out on some crucial funding because you miss a deadline. So another requirement for the Blaze Forward program is going to be you must be a Texas resident paying in-state tuition. So if you're an international student, if you're an out-of-state student, you want to be considered for this program. You also must be eligible to receive an award via the federal Pell Grant program and Texas Grant program. So again, that your eligibility for these programs are going to be determined by the FAFSA application or TASFA application, but you must be eligible for those programs to be considered for the Blaze Forward program. And then your yearly annual income, your family income. So if you're a dependent student, we'd look at your 2023 income. Your parent or parents' 2023 income has to be $85,000 or less. Or if you're married, then we're going to look at your income and your spouse's income. And then if we offer you a Blaze Forward package, you must be a full-time student going at least 12 credit hours each semester to receive that funding. If you receive a Blaze Forward package here at UTA, that package is going to consist of a Pell Grant and a Texas Grant and possibly a merit-based scholarship. And the combination of all of those is going to be at least $12,208 for the year because, again, that's our average tuition and fees, which would mean we would be covering your tuition and fees with those funds. All right, so here's our contact information. So I want to highlight again, like I said at the beginning of the presentation, don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. We are happy to help you here. We know the financial aid process can be complicated. You may have various individual questions, very specific questions about your specific scenarios, circumstances you may be under. So reach out to us. So here's our phone number. Here's our email. We're located on campus on the corner of Cooper and Netterman Street here on the UTA campus. We're located in the University Administration Building, or the UAB. We're on the second floor. The financial aid office is in room 252. The scholarship office is right next door in room 201 in the University Administration Building. If you are a veteran or a dependent of a veteran, you want to apply for some VA benefits like Hazelwood, Chapter 31, etc., that you may be eligible for to pay for your tuition or other expenses here, you can reach out to our Veteran and Benefits Certification Office. They're on campus in our Military and Veteran Services Center on Summit Avenue, kind of just down the street from us. But you can call them, you can email them, and ask them your veteran-related questions. A lot of information I went over is on our website, so our website's there. I encourage you to explore that. Again, we're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We're open all year long except for holidays, so don't hesitate to reach out. Come visit us. We'd love to see you here and answer those questions for you. And then lastly, we are on the social media, so we're on Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter. We post a lot of good reminders on those social media accounts, so we encourage you to follow us. And then if you're interested in our merit-based scholarships, so if you're an incoming freshman or an incoming transfer student and you want to know what merit-based scholarships we offer here, I encourage you to watch our separate video. Should be on our videos page. That's going to be our scholarship overview video. And we'll kind of go over what scholarships we offer to our incoming students. So again, I appreciate your time. I'm very happy to hear that you're interested in attending UTA. Hopefully this video answered a lot of your questions, but if it didn't, don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. And I hope I see you here on campus next school year. Thanks. Go Mavs.